Oh yes, well, humility. I was Mum's best friend, closest friend by a mile, many miles. And sure, it gave me a strong ego. She was always building my confidence. And so you can imagine, can't you, that when I took on the view that, we were children of God, oh, thank goodness. This was no stunning humility that I'd discovered, I can tell you. As you can see from my theology ever since. The God as our Heavenly Dad wants company as good as himself, of course, in every way. But a variety. He wants communion. Didn't want to be alone. I know what he means. I know what he means. Well, that's how I feel. Another thing that crosses my mind, I'm not interested in the detail. Was John Bunyan in prison for 9 years or 10 years? I don't care. It's 10 years, more or less. I'm an economist. I make generalizations all the time, massive ones. My priority is not for the detail. How could it be? I haven't mastered the basics. That's what's important first. To get an outline, an overall view. When I read a book, I'm not one of these slavish persons that starts at the beginning and works through to the end, then puts it down and says, no, that really wasn't worth reading, that one. No, I plunge in halfway through. Do I like this page? Don't quite agree with that bit. Flick over, another, 30 pages on. What's that statement? Yes, possibly. No, not really. I don't think this book's for me. Put it down. How much time have I saved? I'm going to miss one or two wonderful books that way, but at least I'll find all the others. I got a good chance of it. So it is that, a perfect account of history is irrelevant. A useful historicity is far more impressive on the mind and values and so on and so forth. And a really good story, well, that seems it'll last forever. It gets repeated in 1,000 generations. More or less. It gets upgraded, changed, and so forth. Well, coming back to humility, do you see it was the right of kings, wasn't it? That you be extremely humble. You're so much more manageable if you're humble. The last thing I want is a nation of individually minded John Bunyans. You say to him, you can't preach, you've got to keep him in prison for 10 years, 9 years. The king is no constraint on him at all. Once he knows in his heart what he thinks is right. You can't rule the people like that. They rule you. So it is that your religion can have fundamental flaws in it which have been in monarchs' interests for thousands of years. You use this religion to run a nation the way you want it. Who are the ones that actually don't keep the law? Those who can afford not to. Whether it be because of wealth or because of divine selection. Do you see? So humility should be taken from the books. Just as obsession for accuracy should be taken from the academic records. So-and-so is an old wives' tale. You're going to dismiss it? Why is it an old wives' tale? Let's check it. Check it out. Wonder why this has survived so long. You come up with some amazing truths, and some are rubbish, of course. The lack of humility is, of course, in believing your own scientific method, as if you proved something to be right. What absolute nonsense. You can only prove a thing to be wrong, and the fact that you haven't managed to prove it wrong yet simply shows your lack of experience. How often does scientific theory get completely revolutionized and changed by a new view, or an anomaly that just doesn't fit with the explanation of things? And finally, even the scientific community has to bow down and admit that this is a better theory. I don't worship truth, I worship life. Fullness of life, which I understand to be love, loving kindness and creativity. The rest is noise. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.